Welcome to episode 132 of the Epilogue Lady podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and 2 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. There is also a group for this podcast on Ravelry where you can participate in make-alongs and the occasional giveaway. There is a make-along running at the moment in the group, and it's the Fluff to Stuff year-long make-along. Year-long? It's what it sounds like. You spin yarn, use the yarn to knit something, and then you enter into the Fluff to Stuff. Prizes will be drawn at January 1st, and I will send the prizes afterwards. Speaking of prizes, I finally got the prizes for the Arctic Summer of Socks out the door. Not sure how this is possible, but because we moved into such a much bigger place than the one we used to live in, you would think that it would be easy finding stuff because we didn't have a lot. Turns out when you move out and you pack stuff in zones instead of sorting after what stuff is, you have to find boxes from, let's say, from the kitchen to find stuff you used to have in the kitchen. You got to find the boxes from the bedroom to find stuff you used to have in your bedroom. And when you can't quite remember where you put stuff in the old place, you have to go through a lot of boxes to find stuff. And what I was looking for before I could send the prizes were the vacuum, because I used to vacuum pack everything before I send it, because to save on shipping. And that was the thing I couldn't find, because that moved around a lot in the old place. And now I find it, and now I find a home for it. So now I know exactly where it is. Those of you who have been here for a while, you might have realized that in my intro I said, for a while now I've been saying that I live with my husband, my oldest son, and 2 cats. And my oldest son has now moved out. So it's just me, hubby, and the 2 cats again. Not that my son has moved really far away. He lives downstairs. We bought a big house with a rental unit, so he's now our tenant. He's probably going to get away with a lot of stuff because he's my son. So it's going to be a really relaxed tenant-landlord relationship. We have gotten the first snow. That's stayed put. Hopefully it won't stay put for much longer. According to my husband, the forecast says milder weather nearing to the weekend, so hopefully this vanishes again, because now we have snow and ice on top of the banister outside on the patio, and that's where I'm going to put Christmas lights. I bought a long, you call them fairy lights, 45 meters, and I'm going to wrap it around the banister all the way around the patio. That's going to be our Christmas lights for this year. We can't afford to buy lots, but apparently we have moved into a neighborhood where people really love their Christmas lights. So it's probably going to look really, it's not going to look anything like our neighbors, but apparently it's the neighbors up the hill. So this house is sort of hidden away anyway when you pass us on the main road, because we have a small spruce forest on one side of the house, and we have a birch forest on the other side. So you have to just throw your head to the side quickly when you pass by the house on the main road to see it. So I think the Christmas lights thing, not as important. Anyway, I'm not putting up Christmas lights for other people. I'm putting up Christmas lights for myself. So I'm not going to overdo it. I really want a Christmas tree outside though. I know people buy these nets with lights on them to throw over bushes and stuff. I don't have bushes that side. I only have trees. And you can also get these strings of light for your flagpole that you can. So your flagpole looks like a giant Christmas tree. We don't have a flagpole, so I'm guessing I'm just going to get a normal outdoor Christmas tree with lights on it. Not sure where I'm putting it, but again, since I'm decorating for myself and not the neighbors, I think I'm going to put it on the patio. But that's for next Christmas. This Christmas, we only bought a long string of fairy lights, and that's it. Because we can't afford a lot of new stuff because we've been paying for 2 houses. I'm going to prioritize getting decorations for the inside of the house because we moved into a much bigger place. And I'm not the kind that buys new decorations every year. I keep the ones I have because for me it's also a tradition to get the same stuff out every year and put it in the same place. And that's also a thing this year. I have to find new homes for all my Christmas decorations. So I think this year it's going to take me longer than it usually does. I'm going to put up the tree earlier than normal. The normal thing in Norway is the day before Christmas Eve. But I think it's more and more common for people to do it earlier. I'm going to do it about a week before Christmas, I think, because I always thought that I really love the Christmas tree. I think it's really pretty, and if you put it up the day before Christmas Eve and then you take it down January 4th, 5th, you only have the Christmas tree for about 2 weeks, and I think that's too short of a time. So I'm going to put it up about a week earlier, I think. I'm also knitting again, just a tiny bit. I bought some yarn. I was thinking I have to start knitting again. Not I have to, but I have a lot of UFOs and whips lying around. I realized while we were moving, and I don't want to frog any of it. So I sort of have to get into the habit of picking up my knitting again. So I didn't feel like knitting on any of the whips yet. So I bought some cheap cakes. These are from Hobby. It was a special for Black Friday. Dirt cheap. I think it's mostly acrylic. It's 80% acrylic and 20% wool. It smells like wool. So, and this is it's actually the Knitwent pattern. It's difficult to see, but I can throw up a picture of it. It's called the Postboks throw, and it's from this year's Knitwent by Curious Handmade. And I bought, when I saw the pattern, I bought that yarn because I want a bigger blanket than the throw in the pattern. But I bought 2 cakes. So when I've used up this, I check the size of the blanket, and if I find it's too small, I'll just start the second cake. Because the pattern, you do the same thing so it's not a problem to make it bigger. You just keep going. So that's what I'm planning. It's going to be a lot of stitches as I go, but who cares? So that's what I'm knitting. I'm also actually wearing knitting today. You can hardly tell, but I think it's Lace and Fade Boxy by Ohi Locatelli, and the yarn is Arctic Crafts, and the colorway is Stracciatella, and it's the same colorway on everything. It's just that the alpaca takes the color differently than the merino, so that's why it looks like a totally different colorway, but it's the same colorway. It's called Stracciatella. This is Thursday work. By the way, this is a one of a kind. I haven't gotten too big. I haven't gotten a really big EO. I haven't gotten merch. This is a one of a kind, and it's made by Sue Craft Knitter 7 in Canada. So we have moved to the country, and I feel a bit isolated because I'm not allowed to drive at the moment. And calm down, I haven't been driving drunk or anything. I have epilepsy and I got a seizure in June, and if you get a seizure and you have a driver's license, they put a hold on your driver's license for at least 6 months to a year. And I went to see my neurologist about 3 weeks ago, and he said I'm okay to drive from December 6th. So I lost my license for 6 months. I didn't lose my license, I still have my license, but if I get pulled over and they check their data, it would say behind me that I have a driving ban. So that wouldn't be clever. So I still have my license, but I'm not allowed to drive until December 6th. And that's not ideal when you move to the country. There are buses. There's a bus service here, but the buses only run 5 or 6 times a day. But I've checked the bus. I've checked the bus schedule, and one of the buses run at the same time, about the same time as I normally start work. So I would be able to take the bus to work. But I haven't been to work since we moved here. The last time I went to work was while we were moving. So I might be called into work in December because of the Christmas rush. But by then I have my license, or I'm allowed to drive again. The car is still mine because my son hasn't gotten his license yet. But as soon as he does that, I'll have to borrow the car from him. And I need it. So not ideal that. That's not ideal either, but it's okay, I guess. It's not the end of the world to take the bus to town. I haven't been taking buses for a while, but it's okay. The last time I had a driving ban because of the epilepsy, I also lived sort of in the country, so I had to take the bus to town. So it's one drawback. Of course, there are several drawbacks to having epilepsy, but that's one of them. One of the worst ones, I think, especially since I really seldom have seizures. So I discovered one thing one day though. I've started putting my hair up before bed because I got tired of waking up with hair in my mouth and stuff. And then I realized I have a patch here where the hair is this long, really short hair. And then I was thinking, wait a minute, when I had that seizure in June, I hit my head here, and I had a big nick in my scalp here that was really nasty. And then I realized probably I cut my hair that exact, just by the hair probably fell out or got cut off at that place when I hit my head, because the length is about right for 6 months. So I can't put my hair up on top of my head if I'm going anywhere. I don't care myself if I have some hair sticking out behind my ears when I go to bed, but so a ponytail is the only way I can put my hair up if I'm going out. That was a lot of talk about nothing. I took some really nice Northern Lights pictures last night. I probably put those at the start of the podcast. And the sky is much bigger here, if you know what I mean. And there's practically no light pollution, except for the lights along the main road. So the Northern Lights are much more visible here. And I need to try out this camera, because this is one of those vlogging cameras from Sony. And I haven't tried recording the Northern Lights with this camera. So I'll try to see if I can find a setting on this camera that makes it possible to record a video of the Northern Lights. I can't do that with this phone camera. I could with my old phone camera, because it was that Chinese phone that I can't remember the name of, that you actually could record Northern Lights with. I'll have to check if I can figure this one out so I can record some record some film for you this winter of the Northern Lights. I still have a few flat packs to assemble, so that's fun. The room for my youngest son, it's our guest room, but we're calling it his room because we rarely have people staying overnight. He's the only one basically, so we're calling it his room. So he chose the color on the walls, and we have bought him furniture. We bought a desk, we bought a bookshelf, we bought a bed, and I have a wardrobe to assemble that's going in there. And that wardrobe isn't for him basically, it's more or less for us, because we have less wardrobe space here than we had in our old place. We had a custom built wardrobe there that fit wall to wall in our bedroom, and we want to do the same thing here, but that just has to wait. So we have bought a cheap wardrobe that's going into the guest bedroom to catch the overflow. There's also a couple of wardrobes downstairs in a storage room, but I'm using those for different things. And since my son now moved out of the guest bedroom downstairs, I get to rearrange that, because that was supposed to be the dumping ground for everything that's now everywhere else. That was supposed to be our dumping ground, so I finally get to fix that. I still don't want to do a tour of the house because there is stuff everywhere. I bought a robotic vacuum. It's called a Roborock. I'm only using it for spot cleaning because I have stuff everywhere on the floors, and the first time you use it, it has to do a mapping. I don't want it to map boxes on the floor, because the next time I run it, it's going to avoid the boxes that's no longer there. So I'm waiting for that, but I'm using it for spot cleaning. That works as well. It works for vacuuming the floors. I was planning on being able to mow the lawn before the snow came, and now it's too late because there's already snow on the ground. So hopefully it's not a big problem. I wasn't able to rake the leaves off the lawn either before the snow came, but I think those leaves will only provide mulch for the lawn, so hopefully that's not a big problem. For next year, I bought one of these electric battery operated lawnmowers that you can buy lots of different stuff that uses the same battery packs, and I'm going to buy a leaf blower and what you call them? Trimmers, weed whackers. I'm getting one of those as well for my garden. I already bought a collapsible greenhouse because I'm planning on growing my own vegetables. Not a lot of different kinds. The greenhouse is for tomatoes and chilies, and I'm putting out an area for potatoes and onions, and I'm not going to do anything more than that to begin with. I'm not going to be too ambitious because I'm planning on living here. This is my forever home, hopefully, so I have time to expand. I have there is an old wooden hot tub on the property, and it's not going to be we are not going to be able to use it for a hot tub because it's so old and it's wood, so you can imagine it's not going to hold water. But what I was planning on using it as a herb garden. Just fill it up with branches and stuff at the bottom, then put one of those cloths, and then fill it up with soil and use it as a herb garden. But I actually think I want to sow wildflowers in there instead, because I love wildflowers, and there's not a you can buy seed packs with wildflower mix, and I want to do that in that hot tub because that's the part of the garden I'm going to spend the most time, because that's where the picnic table stands, where my potting shed stands, and where my greenhouse is going up. So that's sort of going to be my little oasis in the garden. So why not have wildflowers down there? So I think that's what I'm going to do. That's my new plan for the old hot tub. The sauna is my potting shed. And it's on a small patio by itself at the bottom of the garden. Or not at the bottom of the garden, but it's sort of away from the house. Something else we want to do in the garden is we want to have a staircase down from the patio down to the ground. The patio is on the second floor or the first floor, if you're thinking ground floor, first floor, or first floor, second floor. So it's going to be a long staircase, and it's going to be one of those that sort of go at an angle. I can't imagine it's going to be something cheap. That's going to be expensive because you have to make foundations and everything. But I would like to be able to go from the patio to the garden without going through the house. But that's something that we will have to look at later. I'm also going to try to figure out a place where I can store potatoes, maybe onions, carrots, stuff like that, because it needs a different temperature than the rest of the house, but I don't want it to freeze either, so that's something I have to figure out. I think I'm going to divide up the potatoes and store them in different places to see what's the ideal spot. And I'm also thinking about buying some potatoes in the new year and just doing the seeding process myself. I used to be married to a potato farmer, so I know the way to do it. But then again, you can buy already seeded potatoes. You can just put in the ground. That might be the easiest way to do it, because I'm not going to have a lot of potatoes. We don't eat a lot of potatoes, but I want to grow my own potatoes. I also need to bake more. I have to get used to the idea that I'm getting close to the end of my professional life. I work really seldom as it is, and starting February of next year I might not even work anymore, other than this and my garden and the house. So I need to start baking more. It's an ideal time for me to have a larger house where there's more stuff to do, some DIY projects and things like that, because now I have time for it. And I really love this place, and it's starting to feel like home because I've gotten my art on the walls. Not all of it. I have one wall I haven't put a lot of art on yet, because I know that wall is going to be painted a different color. It's I think you call it a focus wall. It's a wall in the living room that's a different color from the rest of the room. And they had their television on the wall on brackets, and when we removed those brackets, some of the paint came with them. So I have to repaint that wall. So I'm just going to change the color while I'm at it. The color now is sort of brick color. It's more brown than red. So I bought a red. Not a red, but sort of a brick red. Dark brick red. That's going on that wall. As soon as I can get the cats out of the house for a day. I can't have the cats walking around here while I have wet paint on the wall. That makes sense, right? So I have to get the cats out of the house to be able to do that. I also found a home for my undyed yarn and fiber and all my dyeing stuff. I think it's going to be a bit more practical to dye yarn in this place because the kitchen is much bigger. I have more places to put down the dyes and citric acid and everything I need for the dyeing, and I have a proper sink in the laundry room where I can rinse out the yarn. So it's going to be easier to do here. But I don't feel like it yet because I'm exhausted from the move and I'm not finished yet. We have a decent system in the living room and kitchen, but other than that, it's sort of chaotic still. So I have lots of stuff left to do. So I'm not going to start any dyeing or anything this year, probably not until next year. The prices I sent out for the Arctic Summer of Socks were hand dyed by me. And I have a bit of hand dyed by me still in the price bin. The last time I dyed yarn, it was for prices. Since I haven't got a knitting mojo at the moment, I don't feel like knitting yarn for myself, for sweater quantities, especially since I have a lot of sweater quantities already. Or not a lot. I'm also doing a sweater spin that I haven't touched in months. I haven't touched my wheel yet since we moved here. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but my wheel is standing in the living room. Both wheels are standing in the living room. The Ashford Kiwi is standing by the hutch. It's really pretty. And I have the eel wheel here in one of those IKEA things with shelves and wheels, so you can just pull it along. So that's I can see both my wheels all the time, and that helps to remind me that I actually can do some spinning. And we have, where I'm sitting now, you can't tell, but I can do like this. This is our work corner. It's sort of an office because the living room here is so big. We have divided it into 2 zones. We have one zone for lounging on the couch, watching TV, and behind the couch we have this sort of office space, because it's nice to have a place where you can sit down and do serious stuff. And it's also nice for my youngest son, because he always brings his gaming laptop when he comes for Christmas. When he comes here for a longer period of time, he always brings his gaming laptop. And where we used to live, the only place he could sit down with that was the dining table. And whenever we were going to eat, he had to move everything away. Here he can just put up his gaming laptop on this desk, and it can stay there for the entire Christmas vacation. So that's a good thing, I guess. Speaking of the dining table, it's now full of tools. Because that's the dumping ground, because we eat at the kitchen table. Or mostly, that sounds too ambitious. We eat on the couch. That's where we have our dinner. So the dining table has also become a dumping ground for everything. I'm sort of a visual person. I need to see stuff to remember to do it. So pictures that I haven't hung yet are underneath the television, on the television shelves, and other pictures are lying on the dining table. I need to figure out where to put them. I need to figure out how to put them up. So I have sort of a bit of problems when it comes to that. But as I said, this is our forever home, and we're happy here already because of the view, because of the size of the place. We can hide away all our clutter eventually when we're ready and we found out where to put everything. We can hide away all our clutter. As it is, it's all very visible, but we're getting there. This podcast turned into a free stream of consciousness, isn't that what you call it? I've just been blabbering about everything and anything, and hopefully you could get some sense out of this. I just wanted to record something to put up in November. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage to do it every day, but I'm planning on doing Vlogmas this year. I haven't got one of those calendars you open every day, so that's not going to be part of the intro this year, but I think I'm going to do Vlogmas. And some days will be longer, where I'm doing a lot of stuff. Some days will be shorter, some days might I might miss out of, because if I'm going to work, for example, a day in December, I probably won't be doing a Vlogmas episode that day, because I'm going to be exhausted when I get home. So probably no Vlogmas episodes on days where I'm working. And I'm going to work in December. I'm pretty sure I'm going to work a few days in December because of the Christmas rush. So that's why I'm not promising a daily episode of Vlogmas. I could, of course, do what I did one year. I put up an episode every Sunday of Advent. Problem is, those episodes turned out to take forever to edit, because I had 7 days of footage to go through. So I'm doing daily this year. So Vlogmas is coming from December 1st. I'm going to do Vlogmas. And the first, I think the first week maybe will be pretty consistent, and then it will start to be more, I will be more active when it comes to work and stuff. So, but getting to the point, there will be Vlogmas 2025 from me. And hopefully you've gotten some enjoyment out of this episode, even though I've just been babbling. But as I said, I wanted to record something in November. So it is what it is. And I'll see you December 1st. Bye bye.